Welcome to the No Agenda Football Podcast. We're back again, episode 3, and you know the vibes already. We contradict the title. Everybody has agendas, and we're going to be running several in this podcast this evening. And you know what? This wasn't planned, but straight off the rip.
Oh,
Johnny, did you enjoy? Tell me, how did you enjoy Bruno Fernandes' performance against Forest?
I felt it was brilliant.
Yeah.
What are you trying to do with me here? What are we doing?
You know what? I've
screenshotted
those ones.
I've screenshotted those review. I want Johnny, straight off the rip, I want you to review Bruno's performance against Forest, please.
Look, there's no. I'm just going to call it what it is. I think Bruno, last few games, I don't think it's been all season like some people say, but the last few games, I think Bruno has just been a different player, personally. I don't know if that's coincidental with Eriksen and Casemiro coming back into the team. I definitely think that helps him, but I don't want to take anything away from him as an individual. He's calm on the ball. He's still working as hard as ever, but he's a lot calmer on the ball. He seems to be a lot more selective with his passing. It's almost like he's matured a bit. I don't know if that's down to him working harder at his game or if the manager is coaching him, because I feel like can he still coach players at 27? What is he, 27-year-old?
I think you can.
So, best time to coach.
Clearly, you can't you? Because I feel like Bruno. Look, the Bruno that I saw for the last 2 years to the Bruno that I've seen last few games, I think is a completely different player. I'm telling you, this Bruno that we have now, I would swap in a heartbeat for the guy that I've been watching for the last 2 years. I think he's been brilliant. I think he's been a breath of fresh air. Like I say, he's not giving the ball away as much as he used to do, in my opinion. He's not making reckless passes. I just think he's been a much better player to watch. And I love to watch good football, and I think at the minute he's playing good football, and I like what I see. And I can't to say anything different would be a clear agenda, and be disingenuous. I feel like the last 2 games has been arguably his best 2 performances in the United shirt for me.
What did you think of the performance in general
of the team? Again, I thought we played well largely. I feel like we asserted our game onto Forest. I don't think we gave Forest much, personally. But I've been trying to watch this 3-2 formation build-up that you're talking about. I'm intrigued to try and learn more about that. But I feel like there's one thing that I've been pointing out consistently this season with United, and it's our poor ball retention. And it's still not where it needs to be, but I still think, like, given that that game, I thought our ball retention as a team, as a collective, was much better, in my opinion. Again, another criticism, I feel like the amount of chances that between them, sort of Eriksen and Bruno were creating, the amount of havoc that they were causing, I don't feel like that scoreline is reflective of the work rate and the creation that them 2 players were creating for the team. I feel like for the amount of creation that they're putting out there, we should be scoring more goals. In my opinion. You know, there's the amount of times the ball go across the 6-yard box, Daniel, or the keeper's near post, and you know, just asking for somebody to tap it in. Like, and I think that's, correct me if I'm wrong, I swear that was a quote from Ole about fucking 6-yard tap-ins. I swear Ole came out with that quote during his tenure.
You're quoting Ole.
Yeah, Ole said, like, you know, if a striker can get like six goals a season, like tap-ins, like, you know, it adds to your goal talent, obviously.
Yeah.
There's always like little half chances across the keeper's yard box that I think it was like, for example, the Sancho chance on the left-hand side. In my opinion, I feel like if he'd have been a bit more hungrier and more alert, I thought he could have met that and potentially scored.
You know what's funny? I saw shout out to Charlie Fredman Chaza. He put out was it him? Yeah, he put out some of Bruno's stats, right? So Bruno had 9 crosses attempted. Only 1 was completed. And this is where stats become misleading, because if you watch the game, you know that should have been easily 4 or 5 more crosses completed and tap-ins. Yeah. And for me, they're all culpable. Martial, Antony, and Sancho, in different moments, should have been on the end of one of those crosses for me, from Bruno and Eriksen. Jimmy, I'm going to go to you, and then I found what I was looking for. We're an hour ahead of schedule because Johnny wants to go watch his favourite team, Liverpool, play Leeds later. So, but yeah, Jimmy, I'll let you review the game. Then afterwards, I want to get into, see what you said about the build-up, Johnny. I found what I wanted to show you. So we'll get into that after Jimmy's giving his thoughts on the game. Floor's yours, Jimmy. Go ahead.
I enjoyed it. I love when we play like that. I love when we look composed. We you know, we're recycling the ball pretty decent, and you know, and because sometimes we've lost game or drawn games because we're forcing the attacks sometimes, and it feels very forced. I didn't feel like that in that Forest game, and this is the second time I've seen us play where I thought we're trying to recycle the ball a bit better, and we're trying to keep control of the game as much as possible, even if it means that our attacks are a yard or two slower, but at least we're still in control of the game, so it gives us more chance of creating more chances. So on a scale of it, I think Ten Hag is trying to get that balance, and I feel like that was a really good demonstration of that. So I enjoyed watching us actually attempting to control the game rather than just pretending to control the game, if you like. I was.
What do you mean by that?
Sorry,
what do you mean by pretending?
Because at times when we've passed just in our own half for ages to look like we're controlling the game, but we're not. For me, that's you're trying to pretend to us that you're controlling the game, but we know you're not, because once you go past that attacking line, then you're not able to control the game anymore. Whereas now I felt like that control has moved up the pitch a little bit more. So even in midfield, we didn't look out of control for too many parts of the game. So I was quite happy to see that. The one big surprise for me is Dalot, a left back. I would have never expected. I would have never expected that to work as well as it's worked. And you know what, Danny? I pretended I was you for a minute watching him, right? And I thought, why am I liking him more than Luke Shaw and Malacia? Because I shouldn't.
I thought it was better on the left than he was on the right.
No, listen to this, Johnny. I was watching. I was thinking, technically, I shouldn't like Dalot more than Malacia and Luke Shaw playing at left back. And then I realized, so this was my Daniel moment where I thought, right, I think the reason is Dalot's got 2 or 3 things that Luke Shaw and Malacia both don't have. And one of the biggest things for me was how well he gets involved in the game, which when he's on the right, it doesn't work on the right, because he's only got slower people in front of him. So he's only got Antony on that side. So it doesn't work when it goes into midfield, because then we lose control completely on that side of the pitch. On the left, for some reason, when he was stepping into midfield and helping out, it seemed to work. It was working fine.
But the reason why, and let me try and see if I can get this screen shared. I can. Wicked. So, real quickly, were you in? Whose background is that?
It's not me.
Coco Melon. You got Coco Melon playing. Jimmy, get that Coco Melon?
It was mine. It was mine. Sorry, I've turned it off.
Yeah, man, I know when Coco Melon and that stuff's playing, man. Every parent knows. So was you in the Twitter space with me before the game doing the preview?
A little bit of it. I think I jumped in.
I threw it out there before the game when I found out that Dalot was starting at left back. I threw it out there, and I said, just putting it out there, just bear with me. What if we sold Malacia and kept Dalot Wan-Bissaka? And the reason why is I've always suspected that Dalot is good at left back, and he'd be good as an inverted left back. The same way, I'm not saying he's as good as Cancelo. Yeah, let's not do straw man arguments to rebuttal here. He's not as good as Cancelo, but there are reasons why Cancelo works better as an inverted left back than he does from the right hand side. It's just based on your skill sets, different techniques you can execute with either foot, the way you rotate your body, etc., etc. So when I'm looking at Dalot, I'm like, hold on. I've noticed like you play a nice diagonal ball with your left foot from the right hand side. Common sense says you could do that from the left if given the opportunity. He's actually pretty good defending. Shout out to Ariam on his weak shoulder. So you saw the rest defense was good, right? He's actually decent in that sort of left central midfield position when he can step in and make and tackle. He's pretty decent when it comes to those things. But the reason why he looked so good, in my opinion, and the team looked good, is because the build-up structure changed. And that's what I'm going to get into when I was pointing out to Johnny. I'll get into these files and I'll show you what I mean the best way possible. So
please, I want to learn this 3-2.
all right, so I'll keep this brief because at some point I'll do a big video on this, but I'll keep this as simple as possible, right? So if it's taking so long.
It's okay.
Didn't come up on your screen yet?
No. Yeah, it's come up. I can see it.
No, the main white thing has, but it needs to zoom in.
Are you not seeing this picture?
I can see I can see the row of pictures.
No, I'm trying to show you a main picture. Can you see it, Jimmy?
No, it's not come up yet, Daniel.
If that's the case, all right, cool. My bad, people. Not the best way. I blame Johnny for this because he wanted to, what his favorite team.
Johnny's making tactical notes, mate. He's
favorite team play.
I learned that Daniel.
There we go. Okay, can you see this?
It's loading. Yes, I can see that.
Okay, so this is the moment before Sabitzer switches to play and we get an equalizer before Leeds. Only thing I want to highlight here is he's outnumbered by 4 people. So when Ten Hag built with his 3-1 structure, the problem I've always had with it is you're relying on the individual quality of players. If you have a De Jong, I get it. If you have a better right-sided centre-back and a better right-back, fine. But even then, you're still relying on the individual ability of the player to deal with being outnumbered, right? I've got a better example.
Daniel, can you just tell me what was we looking at then?
I'll show you. That was just a switch of play before we scored the second goal. I know you've got a terrible memory, Johnny, but you need to try to remember some of the goals we scored.
I try, honestly.
That's our switch in the play before we played for Pelestri cross to Rashford. Like, come on, remember these patterns of play. So this is the build-up structure. Look how many bodies Leeds have, right?
Yeah.
Look how many bodies they have. Sabitzer's by himself.
Yeah.
Luke Shaw's not coming in here. He's leaving this area.
Okay.
Yeah. This is what I'm talking about.
So is this the 3-1?
Yes, this when we build with a 3-1. Now, don't get me like, even if you have a Upamecano, a Timber, whoever it is, you're still relying on the individual to deal with this problem of being outnumbered. Yeah, like I don't like it. I'm not the biggest fan of it. It can work, but you'll see where I land eventually. Like, don't get me wrong, it can work. And then what I wanted to show you as well, Johnny, and honestly, this is the most basic way I can explain this. This is not in depth. I'll do a video on this at some point. I wanted to show you Luke Shaw moving away. That's what I wanted to show you next. Let me get that up. Yeah. So, and then I'll get into more examples of this happening. So you'll see in this example next, this is Luke Shaw's not doing nothing wrong here. This is what fans on Twitter will do. They'll say, Luke Shaw's doing something wrong. So Luke Shaw's moving away from that space. That's why Sabitzer ends up outnumbered.
And is he supposed to be moving away?
And he's supposed to be, and I'll prove it to people. This is what I mean. One, I can show you Ten Hag doing this at Ajax when he had his players, as an example. So miss me with it's because he doesn't have his players, he's doing some of these things. He just wants to create an overload in the final third as quickly as possible. So if you go to this example here, Benfica Champions League, look how many bodies he has in the final third, right?
1, 2, 3, 4. I see 4. And
so
Antony 5 and far corner.
And then now count these people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So it's 5 and 5.
And even if you include Nunes, right? No. Imagine the ball is here with Timber.
Right.
Timber, Blind, and Berghaus would be outnumbered by the midfield and the striker.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying to you?
Yeah.
But these guys are like, 2-3 years in with Ten Hag, and individually their coordination.
Yeah,
you see the video, John. Remember I did the video. I've got a video on this on my channel. The coordination to make this work is insane. It's difficult. It's not easy.
But when you say difficult, do you mean like your players need to be so drilled and intelligent that it becomes second nature?
They need to be elite technically. The coordination, when I'm here, you move there. If somebody makes the wrong decision, someone else corrects it by making the right decision. The coordination's insane. Go watch the video and you'll see what I mean. How many?
You know what, Daniel?
Like, hold on. In this video, there's like 8 positional rotations. Right, it's insane. But I don't want to get drawn on this too much. Just to point out, don't give me the excuse of it's because he has his players. The manager has a preference for what he wants to do. So if you go to, this is what I sent you on Twitter, Johnny, that time. Yeah. Let me share this one next. Give me a second. If you go to one of our best goals this season against against Crystal Palace, the second goal. Remember I said Luke Shaw's moving away from that area? There's a reason why. So in the Leeds game, we weren't building play. You didn't get to see why Luke Shaw was moving away because we couldn't actually, break lines and progress the ball. Bruno Fernandes and Casemiro, they're going to move away from this space. They're not coming to this space. This is just a different way of playing that Ten Hag likes. And why is he doing it? Well, everybody knows why. At this point, if you don't know why, you're just not watching football. You're not paying attention. He does that because at the earliest opportunity, he wants to do this. As soon as that ball gets into the final third, he wants to create an overload. So if Garnacho loses the football here, and this happens from time to time, people then complain and say, where's our midfield? Mm-hmm. And I keep saying to people in spaces, it's because your manager, he vacated the area. He asked Bruno and Casemiro to join the front line to push the opposition midfield back and to pin the back four. Because he wants to play between these lines. If you remember the goal, or go watch it on YouTube, you'll understand why Ten Hag does. Hold on, Johnny. There's just negatives to it, right? He's vacated this space. 1 second, Johnny. So I don't want to get distracted because this weren't planned and I'm doing this rushed. Then I wanted to show you this last example here quickly, right? Before we get into the one against Forest. So if you remember the goal, yeah. Garnacho will get it. He'll come inside. He'll exchange a pass with Fred.
Yeah.
Antony links play with Bruno, who's here, when we scored a goal. And I remember Casemiro links play with Garnacho as well before it goes out wide to show me score. For those who don't remember. So they were doing their jobs when they left all that space. But if play breaks down, people say, where's the midfield?
Right.
Your manager's vacating the space. The reason why, and I've been saying this all season, in my opinion, our best performances, whether it's against Leicester and so many other games this season, even the Chelsea performance in the first half. Let me go.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, it's 3-2.
When them players are... Oh, sorry.
It's 3-2. I don't have to highlight the Forest players. We're not outnumbered. Yeah, we're not outnumbered. We've got 3, they've got 2. It's equal. Multiple passing lanes, multiple options. Yeah? You're not asking anybody to do anything special as an individual here to beat this type of setup.
Wait, so I see
you've matched their numbers.
Is that 3 attackers, 2 midfielders for us, yeah? Is that what I'm looking at?
And if you notice, we're allowing Casemiro and Dalot to stay in this space. They're not leaving.
So that's basically a double pivot, isn't it, Daniel?
Yes, but they're not leaving. You get what I'm saying to you? They're not.
But Casemiro likes that. Casemiro enjoys that. He really enjoys that
because he likes leaving that space. And for me, we're better when Ten Hag allows us to do this. If you think back to the Chelsea game, Casemiro was where Eriksen was, right? Yeah. He wasn't staying in midfield static, looking like a sitting duck. So this, by the way, is one of the reasons why Dalot looked better. And Ten Hag, for me, should have been doing this all season long with Dalot and Shaw. All season long, but he's been tinkering because he still loves his final third overload. You get what I'm saying to you? But for me, my preference, I just think, I think based off what we've done this season under Ten Hag, we look better when Ten Hag chooses to set up like this. That's just my opinion. No. Cool. Go ahead.
My question, that remember that still you showed me with the overload of our 5 attackers, yeah?
Mm.
For that to work, don't you need players of like high technical ability? Because you're working within intricate spaces. So players like Mahrez, like Silva, like Grealish,
you say that, Johnny, but you're the same person who told me Rashford can't do 1-2s, and then I had to remind you he was doing.
No, I know he can. I'm talking more of a general concept rather than individual cases. So like
good attacking players can operate in those spaces, fine, right? Because you've got.
Don't need like. It just when I look at it, to me, it looks like a congested area. To work in a congested area, I feel like that's more suitable to a Martial, for example.
Over a workhorse or Osherman, yes, for sure. But don't get twisted. Like Ten Hag did this with Haller. So what he's relying on is the collective, right? So in the final third, we're going to execute those combinations because we're matching the numbers, right?
Yep.
So you're reducing actually the individual level required, in my opinion, to make that work. You always need technical players. You always need intelligent players. You always need good players. I'm talking the degree to which you rely on individual brilliance. When we build with the 3-1, we're relying more so on individual qualities, in my opinion, and a level of coordination this team is not going to achieve in year 1 under Ten Hag.
Right.
With the 3-2, we all watched the Forest game. It's easier.
Quickly,
it's
Daniel,
a lot easier.
The 3-1 is like a 3 defenders and a midfielder, correct?
Yeah, and then
3-2,
one player, and then maybe the fullback or midfielder.
The 3-2 is 2 midfielders and 3 attackers.
It don't matter, Johnny.
No, it does for me to try and understand.
No, you don't. It doesn't matter who they are. It's the fact it's 3-2 versus 3-1. That's all that matters.
Okay.
So the 3-2 can be fullback, centre back in midfield, and a central midfielder.
The fact it's 3 bodies and 1 body versus 3 bodies and 2 bodies.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who it is. It's more so if the opposition have 5 in their first line press and their second line press, their numbers. If they've got 5 in that central zone, if you've only got 4, they've outnumbered you. If they do what Leeds did and they've got 6, they're outnumbering you 6-4.
Right.
If you match them up, if you go watch Brighton, next time you watch Brighton will match you in that area. Brighton will put 6 players in that area and overwhelm you, rather than commit lots of players to the final third overload. And for me, it's about balance. But I just wanted to point that out. We stayed on this topic too long, by the way. We're gonna have to move on to other topics. But yeah, I just wanted to point that out.
It was a good topic.
And trust me, like this is light. Like this is light. This ain't even. I can break this down. I'll do a video on it where it's much more detailed and more concise. But this is more so for Johnny and just for people watching, just a brief overview in it. Antony, they said he was a flop. Talk to me. They said Antony was a flop.
You go first if you want.
Let me tell you some of the things I've been told. I've been told he can't do through passes. He can't dribble past people. And he's not good at anything. He's a one-trick pony, and he's going to flop. And Ten Hag made a mistake, and Man United made a mistake by him.
He's getting better lately.
And I was told this in November after he only played 6 Premier League matches and took a month off through injury before the World Cup. I was told this. Your thoughts? Let's go to Jimmy first. Jimmy.
Go on, Jimmy.
Daniel, I've said this from the start. You know, I've been one of the people that said, for me, I can see exactly why Ten Hag wants Antony in the team, because I can see exactly what his profile is, and I can only see him getting better as he grows into the Premier League. I've said this from the start. I've never looked at Antony once and thought he's not going to make it. Never, not a single time. For me, I can see what he brings. I can see what he's going to bring. He's actually this thing. One thing people don't give him credit for is how much he works on himself. Forget the tactics. Forget what Ten Hag wants. How much he's adapting to the Premier League defenders. He is adapting his game every single time I see him. He knows he's starting to learn that you have to be clever, because Premier League defenders are very quick, very clever, very aggressive. I think that's probably one of the best words to use. He's learning this, and if you watch him every single time he plays, he's conservative when he needs to be, and he's explosive when he needs to be. He's passing way more now as well. People have not been mentioning this.
You spoke about Premier League defenders and the physicality, right? Do you see why now Ten Hag wanted somebody with his level of determination and fight?
Yeah.
Right? Because to make the progress that he's making, as incremental and small as it is, you need to be determined. You need to be strong mentally.
Very much.
To push through. He had no preseason with us. He didn't have a preseason with Ajax either. Played a few games for them. They joined us. Then got injured before the World Cup. Comes back, plays some games, gets injured again. And the entire time he's being called a flop. No P&P, can't dribble past people, etc., etc. The Man United shirt weighs heavy. And this is where I've got to give Ten Hag credit, and even the club credit. Like, they shouldn't have overpaid. But cool. Like, for me, if you end up with a good player, I'm less mad about it, but you shouldn't be paying that type of money. We get that.
No,
but
of course.
You can see why they were committed to it. We need players that are going to stand up and fight and deliver when the going gets tough.
Yeah.
If you look at the goals that he scored this season, most of them have been in high leverage moments for us this season.
Yeah, very much. Yeah, that was going to be my next point.
And
people
also,
don't give him credit for that either.
When he's not in the team, you also see the lack of balance that we have. And something I keep saying to people is that he's never going to be a high chance creator, ever. He's a system player. He's there to give us balance, and to find third man runs, and every now and again show some individual brilliance.
Yeah.
When it works at his best, Johnny, that's what it's going to look like. And that's what Ten Hag wanted. So don't ask for a system. When you ask for a system manager, ask the club to recruit a system player, and then you say, nah, they were wrong for getting Antony. We should have went and got Diaby from Leverkusen. How do you know Diaby from Leverkusen will do the things that Ten Hag wants? This is where now you know more than the coach. You don't even have a reference point for why you're saying these things. You just don't like Antony and prefer P&P, which is fine. My thing is, understand what Antony is and what the best version of him is going to look like. You're seeing small signs of that now.
I think we have 3 pit bulls in the team. We have a pit bull in Martinez. We've got a pit bull in Casemiro. We've got a pit bull in Antony. The 3 different warriors. I think they're all 3 mentality monsters. Did you see the way they're so aggressive in what they do? They fight for everything. I'm not saying other players don't fight neither, but I feel like them 3 players, their mentality seems to just stand out for me. You never see them giving up. They don't back out of any challenges. And just to focus back on Antony, I don't know if he seems to be cutting out this dribble. I can't remember last time I saw it. He doesn't seem to be doing it.
He is, and Johnny, this is what I'm saying. But you won't see people giving him credit for that. This is what I'm saying. He's learning these little lessons, but because he's not doing what Haaland's doing at Manchester City, people, Manchester United fans, it's like we've lost the ability to allow players to grow at the club. Let them grow at the club. I can see what Antony can bring to a team. When I look at Antony's ceiling, for me, I can't see it yet, because I feel like we've not even seen anything of him yet. He's going to be a very good player for the club because of what he represents as a player, and because of the fact that he's come to this club knowing what the manager's demands are going to be on him. He's still chosen to come to this club. That tells me everything I need to know about him. So I'm seeing him grow in every single match, but people will not give him credit for the things that he's improving in. It's strange. It's a very, very strange.
Something important. You said lack of patience of development, right? And look, you get it. On an individual basis, people will have faith in talent. They won't have faith in any talent, right? So there's people that have faith in Jadon Sancho no matter what. Then on the flip side, no faith in Antony, right? That's just football fans. What can you do? My thing is more so, like, as a Man United fan, like, you have a great history of this coach that used to develop players. So you've got loads of examples for player development. In fact, as a Man United fan, no one else can really chat to you. You should have all the references for loads of different types of profiles. So when I say Antony's like Nani, if you're old enough and you remember, you should understand what that means. Yeah. Nani, different profiles, but he was a frustrating player. He was supposed to hold on, Johnny. When he was supposed to cross, what did Nani do in the beginning? He would shoot. When he's supposed to shoot, he would cross. When you wanted to take his man on, he's trying flicks instead of just being direct. He's trying silly tricks and flicks. And by the way, Antony will continue to be inconsistent, right? Like you could drop a stinker against Sevilla, right? And then everybody will say, you guys said he came because he's a flop again. It's like, no, this is just the development of a player. This is what happens. They'll have good moments and bad moments until they become consistent. Sorry, Johnny, go on.
This is where football's changed. It's not the 90s anymore or the early 2000s. It's 2023. The modern fan, and I don't want to sound condescending or disrespectful towards the modern fan, but the modern fan wants everything yesterday. They want everything today. They don't want to wait till tomorrow. They don't want to wait till next week. They don't have the patience. They see £100 million price tag. And I don't want to be a hypocrite because I do the same shit with Modric for Chelsea, so I'm not going to sit here and be a hypocrite, right? But like the modern fan, with social media, with everything the way football's changed, people don't afford players the time and patience anymore. They just don't afford it. They want everything yesterday. That's why I feel like in an ideal world, you'd probably give Sancho more time. But Sancho's getting cooked now by our own family, and he's been getting cooked for a while now with Sancho. And the sort of the screams for patience for him, they're getting quieter and quieter. And I feel like you said, Danny, our history is to allow players the time to develop. But I just think the way the game's going, like the people they're just not going to give these players time. And credit to Antony and Ten Hag, because I actually feel that there just seems to be a bit more substance to him in these last few games. Like there's a bit more there. Like I feel like he's just I think it's an adaptation time to the league, and I just feel like he doesn't look like a fish out of water anymore. He just looks a bit more comfortable in what he's doing. He looks a bit more aware of his role by the manager, and he's a bit more probably the relationship.
He looks more confident. He looks more confident.
Yeah, it just looks.
And by the way, and this is where one thing I can't stand, right, about football Twitter in particular. I'm sure you guys have noticed today, nothing but tweets about build-up structure and tactics. Yeah, nothing but pictures, graphics, looking all pretty, build up this off the ball, pockets, half space, blah, blah, blah. Then the second we lose, you see none of this stuff. Nobody ever wants to discuss tactics when we lose. Shout out to Khalid. I don't want to hear about build-up structures. But when we win, that's all we hear about. Tactics always matter in football, whether you win or lose. They always matter. So I look at the game yesterday, and did you notice how many runs we made in that half space? Now I'm going to be the football hipster. Think about how many runs, that space between where the left back is supposed to be and the centre back is supposed to be, the channel, as we used to call it when I was a kid. How many runs did Bruno make into the channel, or Wan-Bissaka, or Eriksen for the crosses? These are the positions where we need players. So they need to add Johnny back. You need those third man runs, those triangles, those setups. You need to control the game so you can feed Sancho and Antony. I want to touch on Sancho quickly before we move on. Yeah. You saw he stayed in the game, so he had to fight, and fight he did. And for me, I thought Jadon Sancho ended the game well. And that's why I've been frustrated with Ten Hag taking him off at 60 minutes because, sorry, just seeing Johnny's fingers just like...
Sorry, my bad.
Jeez, horror film. Yeah, I feel like seeing Jadon Sancho persevere, push through, complete the 90 minutes was important. And I need to see more of that because they're going to be inconsistent, but we need to feed them and control football matches. If you can't control games and get players like Sancho and Antony the ball consistently, you'll never see the best of them. You'll never see the best of them. They're not individual brilliance guys. P&P, do something special. No, they're about repetition and rhythm. That's what they're about.
But it's not about putting the right players around them.
And by the way, it's about the team playing well. It's not just about the team has to play well. You can get the right profiles. If they don't play well, it don't matter, does it? So it's about playing well, whatever the profiles are. And Eriksen and Bruno yesterday dominated that game.
Amazing. That was amazing performance.
Dominated that game. Yeah. Right, we're at half an hour. I want to move on to, and I'll let Johnny take this one to begin with. Do you think Arsenal bought the title, Johnny?
Well, not my face value. Yes, that's my instant response. Yeah, because you've had. I think at one point, Arsenal had an 8-point gap. Obviously, I'm not an Arsenal fan, and I don't keep track of their points for keep tallies. Excuse my language, but I know they had a significant gap. And when we had a significant gap under City, under Ole, I never believed in that title charge, but I'm not going down that rabbit hole. But just like when we had a significant gap and it was flipped on us, we was told we bottled it. And it's the same thing with Arteta and Arsenal. Like they have bottled it. You had that significant gap. The last two games they had 2-0 leads with 2-0 at Anfield. Even as bad as Liverpool are, 2-0 up at Anfield is a scoreline that you're supposed to protect and look after. And the last two games, they're 2-0 up, and they bottled it both times. So, absolutely bottled it. And there's none of this fucking context nonsense. It's hard to not swear right now when I talk about this because it pisses me off. But there's none of this context. Like you bottled the league. Well, I can't say you bottled it yet, but I mean the probabilities are looking highly likely you bottled this league, and there's no excuse for it. It's as simple as that. Because I was on, shout out to Sam today. I was on Football Wars today, and I was hearing that. Context about injuries and squad depth and stuff, and but Arsenal have only played one game a week. But try Erik Ten Hag, who's been playing 3 games a week practically with injuries. Rashford's been out, Casemiro's been out, Eriksen's been out, Donny's been out all season. Do I need to go on? Vran's had a part of the season out. So, listen, injuries are part and parcel of football. That's the part of the game. You're supposed to have the best managers are lauded for finding answers to when the league poses questions. They've had questions posed to them in terms of like injuries. Does Arteta have the answers? And it appears not. So no, they bottled the league, and I'm not fucking hearing no different. If they don't win it, of course, there's still a slight chance they can pull it back. But I personally
this is where I disagree with you. I think rival fans are jumping the gun. Yeah, you're actually being hypocrites now, and you're behaving like Arsenal fans. Remember, we used to say to Arsenal fans, "You guys talk too quickly. You're never patient. You never wait. You never play the long game. You always go way too quick. Then we end up just running, just bantering you because you're delusional about the situation you were in." I want to caution rival fans. Let's put this into perspective. They haven't bottled it yet, in my opinion.
I just said that.
They ain't bottled it yet. Well, you just said they bottled it.
No, I said there's a highly likely that they bottled it.
You're sitting on the fence, man.
No. Listen to what I said.
Johnny's doing the fence. He's doing the fence.
That's what I said. I said the probability. No, I'm not saying on no offense. I do think they bottled it.
There we go. Okay, that's it. That's all I need.
Man, I can't do it.
Can I go?
So if you're saying they bottled it, I'm saying they haven't bottled it yet because they didn't lose. And it's what people don't understand. Manchester City.
Johnny, are you saying that they have or they haven't?
Oh, he's saying they have.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, there we go. That's what I'm saying. So City's next game is against Arsenal. Arsenal play Southampton midweek. So that's 2 games in hand City have, but then they have to beat Arsenal to make that count. So if Arsenal draw against City and come through that unscathed, if they win the rest of their matches...
A lot of ifs and buts here, Daniel.
No. But it's still in their hands.
I don't agree with that.
Daniel, what?
It's in their hands.
What?
Hold on. Arsenal are in a position to get a result against City and to win the other games. If they do that...
Based on Arsenal's form?
They won't.
Based on what? Based on Arsenal's form and based on City's form, you think Arsenal have got...
Arsenal come on.
Listen, one second. I'm trying to balance this on probabilities, not absolutes, right?
Forget the probabilities. I'm telling you what it is. They haven't bottled it yet.
They have bottled it. They
ain't bottled it yet. Jimmy, he always talks about balance and
they have bottled it.
Jimmy, he always advocates for balance and reasonableness. I'm trying to do that, and it's
they have bottled it.
You guys are jumping the gun. They ain't bottled it yet.
Listen, they have Southampton, Man City, Chelsea, Newcastle, Brighton, Forest, and Wolves.
Okay, they've been beating good teams all season.
In this form that they're in now. Have you not watched the last 3 games?
Okay, so what? They're going to lose every game between now and the season?
No, I'm not saying they're going to lose every game, Daniel.
They're going to draw every game.
I was convinced that Arsenal are going to win the league a few weeks ago.
Okay, so if
wait. When I did the Arsenal video, that's gone on every Arsenal fan's page at the moment.
But if they beat Southampton, who were bottom of the table,
Daniel,
then what?
When that weekend is when I knew that they bottled it. If they had won this last match, if they had scraped it like they normally do, I would have thought, yeah, they've got the fight in them. They're going to do it. They will win this league. They won't win this. They will not win the title this season.
Just clarification.
Okay,
I just want to address the comments. I'm not making no excuses for Arsenal like bottling this league. There is no excuse. There isn't. You've had a gap. You've got a healthy gap. It's up to you to maintain that gap and win the league. They haven't done it. So I think they bottled this league, and I'm not pulling out no excuse. I ain't gonna make excuses for Arsenal. What are we doing here?
Listen, if you think they've bottled it, if you think they've bottled it already, cool. I'm saying they haven't bottled it yet. If they can't beat Southampton, then I'm saying they've bottled it. If they can't get a result against City, then they've well and truly bottled it. That's all I'm saying. But as it stands,
where you are now is where I was last week.
1 second, Daniel.
Have you looked at the table?
Daniel, they've got 4 points in front of City, right? They've got to play City, and and City have got a game in hand as well. That's 6 points.
Yeah.
I don't understand how you can think.
So you're giving City the 3 points before a ball's been kicked.
The way both teams. I'm not saying that it's an impossibility.
On the balance of probability.
Do I need to get the table up? Hold on. Last time I checked,
Daniel, the way City's playing and the way Arsenal's playing. Like you'd be crazy to put your money on Arsenal.
Nobody's putting money on Arsenal. I'm telling you, they haven't bottled it yet. And you're saying they've bottled it.
Honestly, this guy's moving like Boris Johnson, man.
Why are you scratching your head so much? What's so
moving
hard
like Boris
to understand?
Johnson? Get this guy. Go work for government. You'd be a great
Why are you
politician.
scratching your... So Arsenal are 4 points clear. If City win their game in hand, they're a point ahead. So when people tell me they've bottled it already, this is why I disagree. And bear in mind, if they beat Southampton, they'll be on 77 points, and City will be on 70 points because they don't play a league game until they play Arsenal. So even when they play Arsenal, by the way, and they win that game, they won't be top. Arsenal will still be top. They ain't bottled it yet. I don't know why it's difficult for people to understand. They ain't bottled it yet. All right, fine. Whatever, man. You guys just talk. You guys just want to crash up too early. Wait. Be patient.
No, Daniel, it is what it is.
Like a cobra, you have to wait and know when to strike.
There's no.
Best believe when it's time to strike.
No technicalities are going to convince me. They've bottled it. It's fucked. It's done.
When it's time to strike, I promise you, I'll be there with you to strike up. I promise you. We're going to get to the next topic. Let me share the screen. Glazers to stay at Man United. Some people think this is scaremongering, right? That's the word, isn't it? Scaremongering.
I do.
Excuse me.
Daniel?
Sorry. So, Mark Ogden, ESPN, who gets things right like every now and again, once in the blue moon, he gets things right. He's got the article here on ESPN. You can go and read it. It's free to read. I'll give you the highlights.
I've read the whole thing.
I'll just give you the highlights. You've got Elliott Investment Management, Aries Management Corporation, Sixth Street Partners, and Sixth Street. Listen, if their name is involved, these are the people that basically bought the broadcast rights and did deals with Barcelona and Real Madrid and La Liga, right? So these guys are
serious.
Yeah, they're not playing around. The Carlyle Group as well. They're all interested in some type of strategic minority stake with Manchester United. And look, the article goes through all the things that you know. And the Glazers apparently are skeptical about getting their price. They don't get their price, they'll go with a minority investment. Some fans think that this is just a tactic to push the price up because they want to sell.
I think that's what it is. I think that's what it is.
Well, this is where I think it's a lot more nuanced than that. So it's very, very simple. First and foremost, Sheikh, I don't want to say his name wrong. The Qatar bidders,
Sheikh Jazim.
It's on them to get to a price where the Glazers can't say no. That's on you. You said you want to buy Man United. You know who you're dealing with as sellers. Either offer what they want or don't get my hopes up. Simple as that. If they cannot do that, this idea that the Glazers don't have, that there's nothing tangible here, I think people are lying to themselves. Now, don't get me wrong. This all plays into the Glazers' hands. They have every option available to them. These people coming in for strategic investment and minority investment are pushing the price up and probably making that bidding process more competitive, right? That's all part of the game as well. But the idea that, let's say Sheikh Jassim says tomorrow, 5 billion, take it or leave it. In your same thing, 5.4, 5.5 or less than 6 billion, whatever it is, take it or leave it. The Glazers know, no, we'll take your money and they won't take the minority investment. I think you guys are delusional and you're lying to yourselves, I'll be honest with you.
I'm not. No, the reason I'm saying what I'm saying is because, like, only a couple of days ago, I think it was within the last week, they announced that there's going to be a third round of bidding. My just looking at this just logically, I don't know anything about finance. I've got no expertise in that whatsoever. So I just look at this logically, like, why would you announce you're going to put your bidders through a third round of bidding and mess them all about to just then say, you know what, I know we're going to put you through all this, but we're not doing that now. We're going to go with this instead. It just doesn't make. And I'm not saying it can't happen.
But Johnny, the bidders are also the minority investment.
Sheikh Jassim's not a minority investment.
No. I'm saying all of the bidders include people looking for minority stake.
Oh, does it? I thought that was two separate entities.
No.
I thought it was two separate things. Like, I thought there was a round of bidders.
Joe Colo, they made their announcement clear. We're looking for strategic alternatives, which include strategic investment, minority transaction, blah, 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 and a sale. It's all of the above. It's literally all of the above. So
I thought this was like.
So let's be clear then. The third round of bidding is all of the above. Right. Every option available to them. It's not. Yeah. You know what I'm saying to you?
Yeah. I didn't know that.
Jimmy, what's your thoughts on this?
I was saying this on the space earlier on. I remember when people used to tell me that, oh, these guys are business guys, and if you own the business, you would do the same thing, blah blah blah. So I'm looking at these kind of situations. Thinking from the figures that are being reported, if you did sell the club at the prices that the bidders want to buy the club for, you are still making in excess of 1.8 billion euro profit from your investment all through the time at Manchester United. So if you are these business guys, why don't you just sell the club? These guys are not used to owning community-based businesses, and I keep using this word on spaces. If you look at the way that sports franchises are in America, they're not necessarily community-based. So these big corporate machines. So it's clubs are businesses, and that's how they're viewed. When you're dealing with football in the UK or anywhere else in Europe, a lot of these clubs are community-based businesses. So you have to make sure that when you're operating, you are thinking about that community that your business is operating in. So in this case, they should be interested in pleasing the Manchester United fans as well. It's very important that they leave with the right legacy from this club. Because I'm saying if they were wise businessmen, if they were having the right business advice, they would be told.
This is where do you know what it is?
The community that you're operating in, because these are community-based businesses, and these guys have never once understood that concept.
Jimmy, they used to be. What you're describing, that's not football anymore. It might be in Germany to this day because of the 50+1 rule, but the open for business. It always has been. And the moment that leveraged buyout was allowed to happen, that's not protecting a community asset when you allow the Glazers to own the football club to begin with. When you take 1 billion out of the football club to finance debt, never put a penny in, and take out 300 million in dividends for yourself. So they've been abusing this community asset, if you want to call it that, Jimmy, since 2005. Do you know what I'm saying to you? So all they care about is getting the price that they want. That's what they care about, is getting the price that they want. And if they get that price, they'll sell. If they don't get that price, if they don't get that price, they'll explore other options. And listen, they might not take minority investment either and just keep it pushing. When I say all of the above is possible, Man United fans just need to be aware, literally. Any outcome is possible here.
Daniel,
that's the reality of the situation.
If this was to sort of jump ahead now and imagine that the Glazers do stay, for example, obviously that would be just terrible for United fans. That would break a lot of hearts and piss a lot of people off. And if that was to happen, is that going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back and people start emptying stadiums and make their disdain louder? Is that what's going to be
Johnny? It doesn't. It's not a fact.
People
it's not relevant. It's not relevant.
Why is that irrelevant though?
It's very simple. Unless match-going fans are willing to empty the stadium.
That's what I just said.
Yeah, but if they're not going to do that.
That's what I'm saying to you, Danny. I'm asking you a question. I'm posing you both a question. Would that be the straw that breaks the camel's back where they say, you know what, enough is enough for this? Because to get so close to the precipice of being free of the Glazers, to then to get sucked right back in, surely there's got to be a vacuum from that.
I mean, what better time to empty the stadium than during a bidding process?
I mean, and
yet, any signs they're going to empty the stadium during this bidding process.
But do you know why that is, Daniel? I think that's because they're obviously reading what's coming out from the news, from the media, and everyone's thinking this is going along. First stage, second stage, third. So in people's minds, I think they're thinking it's going along. Obviously, United's a juggernaut.
Okay, that's fine. It's going along, but how about I make this go along quicker? How about I force their hand? How about I make sure I get the desired outcome I want?
Daniel, I completely agree with you. I agree with you.
They never, ever ever going to do that.
I genuinely though, can I just say, I genuinely do believe that they want to sell the club. In me personally, and I do think that maybe they've not, their strategy is a little bit stupid for me. It's I don't know why they want to keep the headache of it all. Because they don't,
Daniel,
they clearly don't care about this business enough. So I don't know why they want to keep this headache, having people, congregating outside their house and all this sort. It's like, why do you want the headache? Just sell it and leave it.
This is something that people need to understand as well, right? This process, I want to answer this question. So, for example, one of the things that's only been happening recently, according to Ben Jacobs, is proof of funds and how quickly you can get the deal done. So all the due diligence on that's only being done now. People seem to think these rounds are just about reaching the price. No, there are other things that I can't even explain, just technicalities around concluding a $6 billion deal, the paperwork, the legal. Throughout the process, different things have to be done in the background as well.
Yeah,
that's a big part of the bidding process. It's not just about reaching that number. It's other things as well. So again, I know fans want to believe this minority thing is just there as a distraction. Every option is available to them. And by the way, stringing Ineos and Sheikh Jassim along, even if they get close up to 5.5 billion, thank you for the 5.5 billion bid. We want 6. But we'll use that as a reference point for Elliott management to give us minority stake. Appreciate you making that bid and valuing Man United at that price. We can now go to these people and say, look, the business is worth 5.5 billion. And we can say that because there's a bid from 2 people for 5.5 billion. So for minority investment,
using bids for leverage that's so disappointing, man.
This is where fans can't be short-sighted when it comes to this.
That's so disappointing. It's very disappointing. Daniel, what do you think about this? This valuation that they've got, a projection of value going up to 10 billion over, I think they've said 4 years or something. Why are they?
Since I've been born up until now, the price of football clubs just keep going up. The prices of shirts just keep going up. The prices of football boots just keeps going up. The prices of season tickets just keep going up. Sky Sports subscription just keeps on going up. The amount of people that want to broadcast football just keeps going up. Revenues keep going up. Transfer fees keep going up. Wages keep going up. If everything else is going up, why won't values? And the thing is, this is one of the reasons why they want that price. They know, well, you know what? Even if we did minor improvements to Old Trafford and stayed around for another 5 years, the club will be worth more because there'll be a new television deal in 2 years that's worth more than the current one. We'll have a new commercial deal that's bigger than the previous. We'll get closer to whatever. I don't know what the next. What's the word? I don't know what I'm looking for, but what's the next milestone? No, what's the next milestone for commercial revenue? How about we try to get to there before we try to sell again? So when I say all of the above, this is what I mean. Like, the only person who knows what they're really comfortable with as an outcome are the Glazer family. And last time I checked, nobody actually knows them personally, is speaking to them. And bear in mind, you're dealing with siblings with different opinions, different views, different personalities, the individual people.
If they stay though, they better be prepared for the backlash from the fans, and it's going to last a long time. It's going to last a very long time. I mean, they'd have to demonstrate some pretty convincing strategies to us for people to believe that they've got the best interests at heart, Manchester United. Because
we'll get big protests.
We'll get very big protests, and I think they will lose a lot of the fan base for a very long time. So
yeah, but as protests will fizzle out again.
But here's the thing: if this was to let's say they managed somehow to wrap this process up before the end of May, right? So imagine we get to the UEFA Cup, Europa League final or FA Cup final. I mean, wrap up the process, the desired outcome we don't want. Oh, we're angry, let's protest. But then you win an FA Cup and a UEFA Cup. I hate these owners. I can't stand them.
They're horrible people, man.
I wish they would just sell Like, listen, 5 billion. That's actually, come on, man, 5 billion. You bought the club. You inherited the club from your daddy.
I know.
It's not like you bought it with your money. You inherited it. You got it for what? What did you get it for? 350 mil? What did you get it for?
380 mil.
Bro, 5 billion. Come on, man.
That's
Take
what
the 5
Daniel.
bill.
They're walking away with profits in excess of 2
and that's
billion.
for your 69%. Get 5 bill for
2
yourself.
billion.
What, do you know that kind of profit is enough for the next 20 generations of their families, 30 generations?
2 billion profit, Johnny. That's what they would walk away with. 2 billion. Yeah, about 2 billion in profit.
Listen,
that's
Daniel,
that's actual. This is actual profit as well. This is not, this is real profit. 2 billion. Come on, go home. Like, you've got lots of businesses. Leave this one alone, because there's people. This is making people hate you and your family name.
They don't care.
I know they don't care about it, Daniel, but I'm saying it does. They might not be interested in what's happening on social media, but their next generations are going to be interested. So it's just sometimes you just have to be smart. Take your wins, man. You're not losing anything.
I'll be honest, from a business point of view, being smart wouldn't actually be taking the 5 bill. That's just me as a Man United fan saying that. They should try to get their 6 bill, and if they can't get their 6 bill, to be honest with you, they should be looking at minority or strategic investment, get the value asset even higher, right? And then sell it at a later date. If I'm being honest, if I'm being cutthroat about it, that's the smart play. I'll be honest with you. Because Man United could be worth more than what Sheikh and Ineos are offering at the moment in 3 to 5 years. I'll be honest, that's me just being cold-hearted about it. But obviously I want them to sell. We're going to move on to the last
Daniel, I'm going to jump off now.
You're going to jump off? Yeah, because you want to go... go watch Liverpool. Go watch Liverpool. Enjoy the game.
Why are you a dickhead?
Enjoy the game.
I'll catch you on...
Let me know Liverpool.
I'll catch you on space later, all right?
Yeah, sure. Let me know how they get on.
All right, I'll stay. I've got to support the boys. I'll stay.
Yeah, I'm trying to watch Liverpool. Look at him. Wants to go watch Liverpool.
I'll stay.
It's bad for your reputation. He knows that. That's why he's staying.
It was bad for you. Yeah, you've got a reputation as a Liverpool fan, ain't you, Johnny?
I'm going to keep this short and sweet.
Don't say that out loud.
I'm going to keep this short and sweet. I don't believe we need this individual brilliance to build up play. We just need a competent central midfielder. I prefer Caicedo over McAllister. And I'll tell you why. I'll go back to the screenshot. Yeah? I'll go back to this. When you use this build-up structure... So
you prefer Caicedo over McAllister?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I'm surprised.
Yes, I do. Yes,
both very good players.
Yes, I do.
No, but for Daniel's type of players, I thought you would like. I thought you'd like McAllister, to be honest.
Listen, the boy's a beast. You've got Maguire, centre back, central midfielder, centre back, full back, central midfielder. And if you watch how we built play, it was very simple, nothing extravagant. Individual brilliance at each moment is unnecessary. When you build play like this, we need competent football players that can receive the ball, open up their body, spot the passing lane. You're creating multiple of them, right? Because you're not being outnumbered by the opposition. For me, this is why I'm happy with a Caicedo. I don't need some extravagant ball carrier. I'd like one. Don't get me wrong. I'd like a Gravenberch as the second option, as an example, if we get a Caicedo. But that's just how I view it. That's just me. Like, I know if you set up like this, you don't need a marauding De Jong to do individual brilliance all the time. Because as a collective, everybody's comfortable receiving the football, you'll be fine. And bear in mind,
who's better technically?
This is Lindelof for Maguire. This is Lindelof for Maguire. You put Martinez, you get a better right back. That's Dalot at left back. Shaw's a better footballer than Dalot. Imagine a better right back where Maguire is. Imagine a better centre back than Varane where Eriksen is. Come on. Imagine Caicedo where Casemiro is. Like, I know everybody wants De Jong. I'd love De Jong. But if we can't get him, get good central midfielder and then get a ball carrier to supplement that. That's why I don't get me wrong. McAllister can be part of the structure. But I've just noticed as well, like, we need, if Casemiro gets injured for the first time in his career, big injury, or he gets suspended and that trend continues, well, yeah, getting McAllister and not having a DM or somebody who can hold it down in midfield is a big mistake. Big mistake moving forward. So that's just my preference. I'll let you guys give your views and then
I haven't watched enough of both players to give an objective opinion on either of them. I saw McAllister in World Cup. I thought he had a good World Cup. Casado, whatever you call him, was linked to us under Ole. I think it was £5 million or something at the time. This season, he's getting a lot of attention on him. He must be doing something well to be getting that amount of attention. All I keep hearing his name. McAllister and Casado are the names that keep coming up. So they're obviously doing something at their respective clubs to get the hype. But I haven't watched enough of them as individuals to give anywhere near an objective opinion on them. But based on what I'm hearing, would there be an improvement to what we've already got? Well, it appears so. But again, I haven't watched them. So
you watched the Chelsea game?
Say again.
Chelsea Brighton game.
Can't remember. I did, but I was more focused on Brighton than Chelsea.
Did you not notice Casado?
No.
Jimmy, what's your thoughts?
So, I was the reason I was saying that I would have thought you like McAllister more because I feel like McAllister is a technically better player. So he's a more technical player than Casado. Because I feel like between the two of them, McAllister seems to be the one that can ball control for longer than Caicedo, because I think Caicedo is a better passer of the ball, but I think McAllister is a game controlling midfielder. So I would have thought that's who you would prefer.
I don't think he is.
Why not?
I don't think he's a game controlling midfielder.
Why not?
I think he's an attacking midfielder who's comfortable, and this is where I don't like to misrepresent a player's game, right? So McAllister is more than capable of coming deep and operating in tight spaces. But is he a player you want living in those zones for an extended period of time? The answer is no. Yeah, it's all about where do you want a player to live? If you left them in this part of the pitch, would they suffer? Would they thrive? Would it be 50-50? What would it be? Right? So for me, he is a middle third to an attacking third player, not a defensive third to middle third player. No, McAllister. Whereas Casado is a defensive third to middle third player, and I think he's got more potential to be unlocked as well. I think there's more upside with him as a football player overall. And as somebody who keeps banging on...
I've said the word unlocked. I'm not allowed to say that word anymore.
As someone who keeps banging on about build-up play, defensive to middle third, I'm gonna put this again, yeah? Because I'm sick of Man United fans. Where's the midfield? Where's the midfield? Yeah? Just lay this out again. The midfield is the space between the strikers and the opposition midfielders. That is the midfield. Yeah? That's the midfield. When the ball goes to, say, Casemiro, if you watch even City or Brighton or Arsenal, they'll have players here and they'll have players here surrounding opposition midfielders. Ten Hag don't play like that. He don't really play like that. He mixes it up. He wants to be here. Ten Hag doesn't want to be here very long. You know when I keep saying, where do you want your players to live, Jimmy? Ten Hag doesn't want his players living in this zone very long at all. He wants them here briefly, get it into the final third.
But Daniel, having Casemiro in the team, who would you rather have in that position? McAllister?
No, if you look where Eriksen is, he's reliable there. He's more than reliable where Eriksen is. Eriksen's here, where my cursor is.
So is them to it. Who's that?
Casado is more than reliable in this position. Composed. The boy don't flinch. More than reliable in this position.
So is that Bruno and Casemiro in the middle?
No, that's Dalot and Casemiro.
Oh.
Okay.
So I'm saying to you. So
why is Dalot so far in the midfield?
Now's not the time, Johnny. Different stream.
Okay.
But like I was saying though, like Casado can be where Eriksen is. A competent central midfielder.
Dalot inverted?
He's inverted.
All right. Okay.
So, and then imagine now, let's say hypothetically that, Casemiro's injured. Cool. Then put Eriksen there and put Casado where Casemiro is. That's fine. But me personally, I wouldn't want McAllister where Eriksen is right now.
see, man. I see.
You see what I'm saying? I wouldn't want McAllister where Eriksen is. So if the player's coming in to replace Eriksen, you have to look at what Ten Hag's doing with Eriksen. McAllister thrives where Dalot and Casemiro is. Now, don't get me wrong. I think Casemiro, I've seen him thrive where Eriksen is, but the manager doesn't seem to agree with me and the things that he's done in the past. You go back and watch the Chelsea and Tottenham games, Casemiro spent a lot of time where Eriksen is, but for whatever reason, the manager doesn't do that anymore. So if he doesn't want to do that, I need to go for what he's doing. And what he's saying to me is, the guy that replaces Eriksen might end up here. So why would I want McAllister over Caicedo if the manager is going to put the Eriksen replacement in that position? That's Caicedo for me, not McAllister.
But when you're looking at their stats, and you know I hate stats, but their stats suggest that Alex McAllister is way more adventurous.
Yeah, he is.
So because I'm always, my concern, right, when we think about midfielders for our team is, I don't want to just buy midfielders. They have to be technically good players.
No, McAllister's a technically good player. Mate, he's a technically good player.
Yeah.
My thing is this, right? Who's he coming in to replace? He's not coming in to replace Casemiro, is he?
No, that's
okay.
No.
So in this build-up structure, where's McAllister? And where's the other central midfielder?
But Daniel, why is Eriksen in where he is?
Because that's where Ten Hag likes his deep playmaker. And this is what I keep saying to people. Start using Ten Hag's choices to pick your midfielders. Yeah? Look at the game. So for example, when we play 3-1, yeah, I'll go to this example. If we're going 3-1 and Ten Hag is asking, again, for this wonderful goal against Crystal Palace. Let me find it. Apologies. Why does it not come up? What's going on? There you are. Yeah, there you are. Okay. So if Ten Hag is setting up like this, I'm sorry to burst your bubble, Man United fans. Bellingham fits into this. Bellingham can move away from the ball and be effective on the edge of the box like Casemiro and Bruno Fernandes were in this pattern of play. Bellingham could do that. So what tactics are we talking? If we're talking 3-1-6, Bellingham fits in. If you're talking 3-2, I still think Bellingham fits in, but I want a Caicedo. I prefer him. And these are the things I don't see all of these Twitter experts and tacticals like me. I'm going to call myself a tactical. I don't care, because I just like to look at the manager's tactics and use him as a reference point. Look at his tactics and you tell me who fits into his tactics. And stop telling me he's doing this because of who the players are. Because he had his players at Ajax and he was doing this anyway. And this is where fans, they're having lazy conversations. Because we you know what's going to happen, Jimmy? A year from now, Ten Hag may get his players and you might start making decisions that are similar. And then people will be, oh, why ain't Ten Hag doing this?
But Daniel, question.
And I'll be here saying, yo, I warned you a year ago. Pay attention to his choices.
Daniel,
that's it.
These build-up structures are like diagrams that you're showing us, about how Ten Hag sets his team up, and how he wants his team to play football. That going to be the same even when he gets the players that he wants?
Pretty much. So
what's going to be the difference? Is it so
it'll work better. The difference is it'll work better. The difference is better quality.
What I was trying to
better quality, better coordination.
Okay, fair enough. I see.
Better quality, better coordination. He can go either or. He can go 3-1-6 one game. He can go 3-2 build up structure the other game. He can do what he wants. He's the manager, not me.
Have you managed to work out yet, Daniel? The reason why one game you would prefer 3-2 over a 3-1 over to another game? Have you worked it out yet?
No, I can't work it out. I'm only giving you 5%, 1% of all of the pieces. You'd have to speak to him. I'm just guessing. All I'm looking at is games where we play well, games where we play badly. What was the build-up structure? What was the build-up structure? Who was the player? When I've looked at all of our games this season, we've played better, pound for pound, different opposition, different setups, different pressing styles when we play 3-2. Okay. When we play 3-1-6, as an example, at Old Trafford against the Brentford or who was it, Everton that are passive, it's fine. There's no issues. Ten Hag's 3-1-6 will slap up passive teams that set up in the mid block every day of the week. Every day of the week. But when teams become aggressive, even when we get the players that he wants, you will start to see certain choices being made and start asking more questions. It's just he gets a complete pass now because he doesn't have all his players. But funny enough, though, when we win a football match, you look at the timeline, nothing but build-up structures. We lose a football match, nobody wants to talk build-up structures. You're not being balanced. And when you're not being balanced, what tends to happen is people overcompensate a year from now because they knew they weren't being completely objective and balanced about everything when they could have been. I'll give you an example of that before we leave. When Victor Lindelof made that mistake against Aston Villa, I saw all the Harry Maguire haters on the timeline. Lindelof was always so shit. And it's like, you're overcompensating because you saw Maguire make that mistake for a season and blamed him. You now see Lindelof made that mistake against Villa. Instead of you doing what I did the entire time and say, why did nobody plug the space that Lindelof left? That's what a good team does. I didn't bash Lindelof for it. I stayed consistent. But other people overcompensated, bashed him. But aside from that, Lindelof's actually had a good season. Anything else you guys want to say or add before we leave? Actually, I want to say one more thing. Shout out to everybody listening. I know you've been smashing the like button. That's why I didn't mention it during the stream. Because I know you've been smashing that like button. So salute to you people. Make sure you hit the notification bell. Make sure that you subscribe. And whenever we have this show, that you're sharing it across all of your socials. And yeah, appreciate you people tuning in. Jimmy, I'll let you guys sign off how you feel. And yeah.
Guys, hit the like and subscribe button. Support Daniel. Doing a good thing here, man. Obviously, good educational content every time. A little bit of banter chucked in. So please hit the subscribe button for him and support him. And follow me on Twitter at Johnny@FX1.
Yeah, man. Big up everyone, man. Bless. It's always good, these conversations. I always learn so much from these guys. You know, I sometimes watch football in a very tunnel focused way. I don't see issues where there are issues because I'm just a little bit biased sometimes. It's a trait I'm learning to shake a little bit. But do you know what? I love my club, so my bias is very difficult to get rid of sometimes. But you know what? It's always blessed. Oh, what I do want to say, Daniel, is speaking of our squad, I think I made this statement before, and some people laughed at me. But I would rather we don't buy any players than buy players that have a good chance of not being the right profile for Ten Hag. So for me, I'd rather see us just can persist with the same squad than see the wrong players come to the club.
And you know what it is, Jimmy? I'm glad you said that. And I'm going to end on this. Frankie de Jong, Lasse Schoen, Klaassen, Donny van der Beek, Berghaus, Alvarez, and Gravenberch. Yeah, none of those profiles are the same. Not a single one. Literally, not a single one of those profiles are the same. Not one. And there's probably midfielders, by the way, that I'm missing. Ten Hag likes all different types of profiles, and it's important that Man United fans understand that. Look at his choices. Look back at his time at Ajax with objectivity, not picking out what you want because you like de Jong or you like this and that. Yeah. And just identify what we actually might need, as opposed to what you want and projecting it onto the coach. Just do some shout out. Shout out to Shubs.
Shout out Shubs, shout out Joe, shout out Ray, shout out Lass, and Lass is watching. Love you, babe. Shout out
Jenny.
Shakira was here. Shit, she busted me. Shout out everyone, man. Shout out to yeah, guys, support the channel, man. Subscribe to his channel.
Shout out to Ray. Shout out to Joe.
Yo, Joe just called me the eye test godfather, innit?
Shout out to Rachel, who I know is here as well.
And shout out to Shubs as well. Lorry hype.
Shout out to James Jackson, Mo Khan, Nonchalant as always. Big up to you, Nonchalant, man. You're always here supporting, man. Shout out to Sharik as well. Sharik's always supporting me, man. Salute to him. Joe, man. Big shout out to Joe, man. Been in there as well, educating people in the comments and that football finance.
No, listen, Daniel. Wait, no, it's a good job you've mentioned that. I need to big up Joe, man. He's teaching people out there what happens in the background, and Joe is very well informed. So go and follow Joe as well, man. He's a good guy. He's a good guy to speak to on Spaces, man. Big up.
And with that being said, we're going to end the show there. No
Yeah,
Agendas podcast.
Take care of yourselves.
Free.
And each other.
We'll catch you guys again next week. Peace.
Bless, man. Bless. Big up.